Welcome back to Set Streets and Eats, guys. I'm Chris Bauer. I'm in front of a KFC today, guys. The first KFC, actually. And no, it is not in Kentucky. This is in Salt Lake City, and this is the very first KFC franchise in the world. And there is a story behind that, of course, as you can imagine, if it's in Salt Lake City and not in Kentucky. And I'm going to tell you all about it, and I hope you guys will join me as we go eat at the first KFC. Harmon was the actual owner of this restaurant. That's his old briefcase. The Colonel's. That's him, Pete Harmon. And that's how this restaurant used to look, the Harmon Cafe. Harmon definitely used to dress like the Colonel. And that's the original recipe, used to be cooked in those old pressure cookers. Mr. Herman and the Missus. It's one of actual Colonel Sanders' original suits, worn by Harlan Sanders when he used to travel around selling his franchise licenses. Everybody needs a little KFC. Original recipe. So how did it happen that Colonel Sanders started a little restaurant in Kentucky, Corbin, Kentucky, but his first franchise in Salt Lake City? Well, he started his restaurant in the 1930s. He made pan-fried chicken, as many southern places did. It took a long time, about 30 to 40 minutes to properly pan fried chicken. It's a long time. In a restaurant, it's normal, but this takes a while. Not fast food, obviously. But in 1939, pressure cookers were invented. They're mostly for vegetables. He saw an opportunity to try pressure frying. So he invented a process to use his 11 herbs and spices to use them for chicken. Big hit. Made his restaurant into a fast food chicken place. Expanded his restaurant to about 140 seats. Bought the building across the road from his restaurant in Corbin. Built a little hotel. It was banging. But by the late 1940s, early 1950s, I-75 was supposed to be being built, but it bypassed Corbin, which took a lot of cars, kind of like the Route 66 story, took a lot of cars away from Corbin. So a lot of that business started going away because the main highway, the state highway, used to go right through Corbin. So he saw the writing on the wall, sold his properties, and saw an opportunity with his chicken. He decided to become a traveling salesman. He took his chicken recipe on the road. He decided to franchise his chicken recipe. So he would go around to independent restaurants with his whole shtick. He would put his suits on with his little bolo tie and his recipe and his Colonel and his antics, and sell his idea of, you can sell Colonel Sanders chicken in your restaurants, and your franchise fee was 5 cents a chicken that you sold. And he would get a few restaurants to do it. And he got here to Salt Lake and met Peter Harmon. And Peter Harmon took to it. He had a huge restaurant here, Harmon's Cafe. And he started selling the Colonel's recipe, and it took off here. It was kind of novel to have a southern recipe here. Fried chicken here. And within his first year, his sales went up 75%. So he decided to make it a dedicated chicken restaurant. And it was actually Pete Harmon's sign maker that called the restaurant Kentucky Fried Chicken. He coined it. Of course, the Colonel loved that because it differentiated his chicken from Southern Fried Chicken, because it was a different process. So they called it Kentucky Fried Chicken. And this was the first one. And it's been here ever since 1952. They opened the first one, which was 2 years before the first McDonald's. Well, first McDonald's franchise. 3 years, actually. It's grown over the years to over 19,000 locations worldwide, 140 countries. Amazingly, it's the only fast food chain with a state in its title, and USA is not the biggest proponent of KFCs. China actually has the most KFC locations, with 5,600 locations. There's only 4,400 in the USA. Pretty amazing. Pete Harmon, owner of the Harmon's Cafe, which became the first franchise. That's a cool take on the Saturday Evening Post. One of the original menus in the old Harmon's Cafe. That's pretty cool. So the buckets started here. So the story behind those buckets was right after the franchises started here. Sanders called Harmon one day and said he had bought a whole bunch of these wholesale buckets from a wholesale dealer in Denver, and he didn't know what to do with them. They were real big, and together they devised this plan to put a whole bunch of pieces of chicken, biscuits, and several sides all in this bucket, and offer it as a big family style meal, all for $3.50. And they weren't sure if it was gonna work, but Pete Harmon said, let's try it here. We'll just call it a big bucket of chicken. And that's when they coined the phrase that the chicken was finger licking good. And they tried it here, and it was a massive hit. It was an entire meal for a family of four for $3.50. So they started selling here, and the rest is history. A bucket of chicken is now synonymous with Kentucky Fried Chicken. And now all started right here, just because the Colonel gotten some good deal from some cardboard salesman in Denver. But that's because of the relationship him and Harmon had, which is definitely illustrated very well by this photo. They were definitely very close friends. And it was a very close business relationship and friendship in life. They definitely understood each other, and they had a great partnership. But it's very cool. and they definitely built something that is a part of the American culture and tradition. That's how the old KFC kitchens used to look, with all those pressure cookers going, pressure frying those chickens. It's pretty cool. Colonel Sanders recipe for Kentucky Fried Chicken. Bucket. It's funny. So one of the early on managers at one of the KFC franchises was named Dave Thomas, and he was manager for many years and was even an early investor, but even all the way up to the 1960s. Then he sold off his franchise, sold his stocks. They ended up being worth a little over $1 million. And he got out of the KFC business in 1968, sold them all for just over $1 million. And he used that money to start his own fast food franchise, and he named it after his daughter, Wendy, in 1969. Colonel really covered the globe selling his chicken. He was a big believer in it. Can't blame him, it's delicious. Regional celebrity chef. That's a cool lamp. Not lamp, chandelier, I guess. And a bucket chandelier. Boy, they knew each other a long time. It's the early 1950s. That's crazy. Yeah, there's a statue at every location in Japan. There's over 4,000 locations in Japan. Almost as many as America. It's cool. The original box. Chicken used to come in. That's pretty neat. One of the original menus for the Harmon Cafe. Some of the awards. Glass bucket. One of the original wedge caps. It's another one of the original boxes. That's pretty neat. These are a few things you can buy while you're here. Got some sunscreen, a lanyard, and a keychain. Oh, you can buy your own Colonel tie and some sunglasses. That's cool. A little t-shirt if you like. Some more awards. And of course a bronze statue commemorating the friendship of the Harmons and the Colonel. Well, I hope you enjoyed this little episode at the world's first KFC. Chicken was always good. It always is. Original recipe is my favorite. A lot of people are extra crispy. I'm original recipe. But I enjoyed the history of it. I learned a few things I did not know of how it got here. I did not realize that that's how the Colonel spread the franchise. It wasn't that he just put it out there that he wanted franchises. He actually went around door to door and sold them, which is kind of cool. It's a very unique way to do it. And I also did not know that China had the most franchises. It's pretty interesting, actually. But anyway, I thought that was kind of cool. But it was a neat restaurant to visit, and I hope you guys enjoyed it too. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you at the next one. Bye now.